Welcome to Nasdaq Sector Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me at the market site in Times Square, we have Jeff LaRocque. He's with Nasdaq IR Intelligence, and we're going to take the pulse on the healthcare sector. And the question that we're really asking, Jeff, is healthcare underperformance in April. Let's take a look at this chart over here.
Yeah, quite staggering. And the last time we spoke, it was managed care that was really underperforming the rest of healthcare. But all segments of healthcare really started to take it on the chin in the middle of April. And the drivers to that downside is, Medicare for all and drug pricing reform. Now, there's a lot of talk, a lot of rhetoric out of DC and what is going to happen, but really, we don't know at this point. There isn't any clarity behind that, and I think that clarity is really what pressured the entire sector. You can see that all segments, red line representing the S&P 500, where all these other lines are representing the different industries and segments of healthcare. Healthcare S&P Healthcare Index actually underperformed at such a wide gap in April. It was the widest gap since April 2009. Pretty significant and rather historic. We have closed it a little bit, and we seem to be going back a little bit on track. Worst performer over the past month and a half has been biotech. And where we started out and where we were for the first 3 months, biotech was the darling. They were the real driver. A lot of M&A going on, a lot of positive flow. I think that maybe this sell-off and this real underperformance has kind of contributed to some profit taking. Profit taking has probably weighed on that group a little bit more than everybody else. So.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting if you take a look at the purple line that represents the healthcare providers. It was the worst performer in April, and look, it's the best performer.
Seems to be coming back. Yeah, and that's interesting to see. I mean, was it oversold? Was it just a value opportunity, or is there something long term that there is something behind there that Medicare for all is something more in the future and might not negatively affect the business as much.
And that's our next question. If we take a look at the following chart, is healthcare oversold? This is a value opportunity here.
Sure, and you can see what this chart is representing. It's talking about the RSI, and the RSI is the relative strength index, and anything below 30 on that relative strength index is considered oversold. And you can see a couple of these opportunities. Top line representing the S&P Healthcare Index in the trading over the course. A couple opportunities that when the index, or at least the constituents of the index, have been oversold, you've seen a nice relief rally. Here in December, quite a few stocks were oversold at that point. We did get a nice bounce, and a lot of that is contributed that maybe stocks were oversold. Another one we saw in March, and then another one, that relief rally in the second half of April probably was contributed that almost 40% of the constituents were oversold. Currently, we're only looking at about 4 to 5% of the members are oversold at this point. Do I think that we're going to bounce off these levels? Do we think we're going to maybe test that April, or even worse, maybe test the late 2018 lows? It's tough to say, but I think our next talk is what are the drivers? What's going to kind of push us off these levels? And we do have a couple events coming up, and I think that we're starting to see positive flow coming out of that. And
well, one of the most key events is the ASCO conference out in California. Why is that so important for the healthcare sector? What goes on there?
So it's probably the biggest data dump on the industry throughout the whole year, where the biotech and pharma companies they will release positive endpoint, highlight some positive endpoints and some positive data for some of these really key researches that they're doing, and whether it's the oncology business, it's just a real overwhelming amount of data for investors to kind of chew on. And the abstracts have been released, have kind of started to be released this week, and we're seeing a nice bounce. And actually, we're rallying over the last 3 or 4 days, and today is one of the best days we've seen in healthcare in the last couple months. So I think things are starting. Yeah. It seems like there is something positive building, and
ASCO always makes for great trading, for sure. When you get these little independent data points that come out. Let's wrap it up here. Healthcare M&A. We talk about this every time we meet, because that is another big catalyst in and of itself.
Yeah, some of the biggest trading days of the year have been contributed to an announcement of M&A, and more specifically in the biotech. That seems to be the business that is getting the biggest momentum from M&A. I still think that it's probably going to be one of the biggest catalysts that we have for the second half of the year. There's still a lot of cash on the sidelines. Multiple large cap pharma companies are saying we're looking for, to refill or replenish our portfolio, to say, all right, well, this is a great company that maybe we don't have that science or that opportunity in our portfolio here. We're going to kind of jump in, and we did see some great deals to start the year in gene therapy and as well as some other oncology stocks. So good start. It's kind of gone silent recently. Not quite sure why, but where stocks are trading at this point, you could say that there is a value opportunity for somebody to step in and make a good acquisition.
All right. Well, we look forward to your ASCO update. Thank you so much,
No
Jeff,
problem.
as always, for joining me.
Thank
and
you.
thanks for joining us on Sector Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.